Hello, I'm David Hughes. Welcome to Your Perfect Body, the podcast of the Esoteric Teaching Community. Today's selection is an essay entitled, "Don't Be Cheated." There are many cheaters in this world, especially in the area of religion and spirituality. Of course, there is a ready market for such cheaters, because most people want to be cheated. That is, they want an easy method with instant benefits and no personal responsibility for the results. But this approach virtually guarantees that you will be cheated, because the authentic path of spiritual life, self-realization and enlightenment, is not such a cheap thing. We do not have many students in the esoteric teaching because we teach just the opposite. To attain success in spiritual life requires diligent effort over a significant period of time, driven by deep study of the original esoteric Vedic texts under the expert and experienced guidance of a self-realized soul. The esoteric teaching is simple in principle, but like anything worthwhile in life, it requires hard work, intelligent discrimination, and responsible application to reach the highest goal. Recently, an ex-student of ours was cheated by a con artist claiming to represent the same tradition as the esoteric teaching. He told her that he would give her residential quarters in a nice ashram, personally instruct her, and help her realize the absolute truth. Well, this sounded good to her, and he actually got her to resign from her job and give up her apartment before she found out, to her dismay, that tantric sex was part of the bargain. By that time, she had burned her bridges and was in a desperate situation. She emailed me, and I gave her the best advice I could, considering that she was on the other side of the planet, and I have not been in India since 1999. But I also asked her to consider her complicity in the mess that she found herself in. I was not being sarcastic. There is an important lesson in it, one that she, unfortunately, is having to learn the hard way. Anyone who has been following this podcast knows that I advocate forming small, informal local groups to practice the esoteric teaching in the friendly association of like-minded souls. We also provide an extensive set of materials, a link is in the podcast or in the blog page, and guidance for managing such a study group. I will never tell you to give up your job and join some bizarre commune, and this was also my spiritual master's teaching. Keep doing whatever you're doing, but add the practices of the esoteric teaching to your existing routine. Gradually, you can build a nice association of students of the esoteric teaching in your location. Step by step, you can create your own spiritual community and make advancement in spiritual life without radically changing your lifestyle. We are not selling franchises or a business plan. We are offering information and assistance so you can take responsibility for your own spiritual life and attain success. The key is in the concept of responsibility. I can offer you inspiration and guidance, but I cannot do your chanting or other sadhana for you, or create a spiritual community for you. You have to take the responsibility to do that for yourself. In general, the more responsibility you take for your own spiritual life, the better off you'll be. If you follow this advice, no one can cheat or exploit you. The desire to be cheated often comes disguised as a willingness to give up responsibility. It is a form of laziness. Let the expert solve my problem for me. Doctors know how to exploit this very well, and so do phony spiritual teachers. They offer you something very grand for very little effort. All you have to do is give them your life savings, or move into their ashram and participate in their illicit tantric sex program. It's a racket, Just like those spam emails everyone gets about transferring millions of dollars out of Africa through your bank account. The thing is, to fall for any of these scams requires that the sucker has to have a little larceny hidden in their heart as well. Everyone knows it is illegal to transfer millions of dollars in cash from one country to another. It's called money laundering, and it's a serious crime. Similarly, everyone who falls for a phony spiritual teacher knows, somewhere deep down in their heart, that the whole deal is bogus. The thing is, they want to be cheated, to have an external reason not to work hard to attain self-realization, a good rationale for failing and becoming bitter, a perfect excuse never to try again, to remain in illusion, to suffer and die in ignorance. The person in material illusion is actually envious of his own self. He creates a situation where he has a perfect justification to cheat God out of the service due to him. But actually, of course, the only one he cheats is himself. Savanchito batat madhruk krichtrena mahatabhuvi labdva pavargyam manushyam vishyeshu visajjate. Any person who engages himself within this material world in performing activities that necessitate great struggle, and who, after obtaining a human form of life, which is a chance to attain liberation from all misery, undertakes the difficult tasks of fruitive activities, must be considered to be cheated and to be envious of his own self. Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam 4:23-28. Krishna explains this in Bhagavad-gītā. Ahankaram balam darpam kamam krodam chasangshitaha mam atma paradeheshu pradvishanto bhyasuyakaha. Bewildered by false ego, strength, pride, lust, and anger, the demons become envious of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is situated in their own bodies and in the bodies of others, and blaspheme against the real religion. Bhagavad-gītā 16:18. My spiritual master writes in his commentary, a demoniac person, being always against God's supremacy, does not like to believe in the scriptures. He is envious of both the scriptures and the existence of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This is caused by his so-called prestige and his accumulation of wealth and strength. He does not know that the present life is a preparation for the next life. Not knowing this, he is actually envious of his own self as well as of others. He commits violence to the bodies of other people and to his own. He does not care for the supreme control of the personality of Godhead because he has no knowledge. Being envious of the scriptures and the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he puts forward false arguments against the existence of God and denies the scriptural authority. He thinks himself independent and powerful in every action. He thinks that since no one can equal him in strength, power, or wealth, he can act in any way and no one can stop him. There is an element of childish obstinacy and irresponsibility in all of us. We are lazy and would like someone else to do the hard work of self-realization. Because of this fault, we are vulnerable to ill-motivated charlatans who will gladly exploit us in different ways, leaving us to bemoan our failure as someone else's fault. And we accept them because secretly we want to make someone else responsible for our own lack of determination and self-discipline. The real truth is, we are each individually responsible for our own spiritual advancement, or lack thereof. I can advise you based on the timeless wisdom of the esoteric teaching, and try to motivate you to do your best to follow it. But I cannot rise early. I cannot take your beads in your hands and chant your mantra for you. I cannot make sure that your food is pure vegetarian, cook it for you, and offer it to Krishna with appropriate and heartfelt prayers. You have to do that. And if you do, you will reap the tremendous spiritual benefits offered in Bhagavad-gītā and other texts of the esoteric teaching. Conversely, if you do not do it, you will suffer the consequences of your laziness and lack of faith, no one else. So, we are not trying to involve you in a cult, sell you a membership in a pyramid scheme, or seduce you into a so-called tantric swingers club. We are giving you the supreme absolute truth of the